Today we're talking about another missing persons case with a twist. A paranormal twist about a hiker that goes missing in the Sierra National Forest in California. Welcome back to Lost and Found the Missing. I'm your host, Sarah Janik, Psychic Medium. Yes, I connect those on the other side, and I also have a pull towards those that have gone missing and hope to cover these cases, not only because of my own connection to them, but to help raise awareness around this issue. The more people know about these cases, the higher the likelihood that someone may recognize a missing person, leading to their safe return. Public attention can generate tips and leads that law enforcement might not have access to otherwise. Sometimes a seemingly insignificant detail shared by the public can break a case wide open. It also puts a human face to a statistic. It reminds us that each missing person is an individual with a story, loved ones, and a right to be found. Discussing missing persons cases is not just about information sharing, it's about leveraging collective efforts to increase the chances of finding missing individuals. Supporting their families and making communities safer can have an impact. Sandra Hughes was 5'3", around 150 pounds. She was 53 years old and had brown hair that was dyed blue at the time of her disappearance. Sandra studied wilderness survival in college because she wanted to be a park ranger, but for some reason that career path didn't quite work out, so she followed a completely different path and became an accountant. Sandra had just moved to California from Maui, Hawaii. She absolutely loved being outdoors and hiking. So fast forward to June of 2020, the height of the pandemic. She decides to take this trip to the outdoors where it's safe, away from COVID, out in the wilderness. She was on a solo hiking, camping trip in Johnson Meadows in the Sierra National Forest. Sandra had talked to her family and told them that she was going to be taking this trip, that she had it planned, and that she was going to try and hike from there to Yosemite Park, if she could make it that far. I believe is something like a 30-mile hike. You definitely have to have some kind of wilderness training to be able to complete a hike like that. Not for the week, that's for sure. She tells her family she's going to be taking this trip on the 26th of June. Fast forward to July 2nd, some hikers come upon a campsite and see that there are someone's belongings strewn about everywhere and it looks to be abandoned. They make a note on their map, hike out to get cell service, and call to report this to the local officials. They know something is wrong here. There's no people. It looks like stuff has been abandoned, and they just feel that this site is off. So the Madera County Sheriff's Department comes out to investigate the scene and find things thrown about: food, documents, empty bags, an empty tent. They find some identifying items, so they actually contact the Hughes family and they decide to file a missing persons report since it's been days since anyone has heard from Sandra. They do a thorough search of the area and find absolutely nothing. Sandra Hughes was reportedly last seen on July 4th of 2020 near the Chiquito Pass trailhead by two hikers who said she had a bruise on her face. They also say she wasn't wearing shoes. They ask her if she needs any help, although her appearance seems a bit off. They say she seems fine and says, "No, thank you, I don't need any help," so they continue on their way. These two hikers get back to their parking spot and actually see a missing persons poster and realize that it was Sandra that they had run into. On July 5th, her silver Saab 9.5 car was found about 1 mile above the Chiquito Pass trailhead and 6 miles north of her campsite at Johnson's Meadow. Her car was found to have hit a tree and rolled down into a ravine, and also her belongings are all strewn about on the inside of the car. Her family reports that Sandra was a very clean person and wouldn't have just thrown her things around as she was quite tidy. Some speculate that this is where her bruise may have come from, that she may have sustained an injury in the car accident and not been in the right state of mind and left on foot. Police do a search of this area and actually find a sleeping bag just 2 miles north of her car, and it looks like someone has recently been sleeping in this sleeping bag. It turns out that it was Sandra's. This puzzles the searchers since they aren't finding her or any evidence of what's going on in the searches, but it seems she is traveling north. July 13th, they are still searching for her since some of her belongings have been found around. At this point, though, she is without a change of clothes, shoes, or any food. On July 20th, the sheriff's office decided to pull back searches and just investigate the information that they already have and any further tips that may come in. On August 9th, 2020, two hunters say they saw Sandra leaning against a tree, drinking water along Road 5SO1 near Beesor Road, which is also located near the Chiquito Creek and Portuguese Overlook, just about 5 miles from her campsite. They returned back to their cars and are shocked to find Sandra's missing persons flyers posted on the trailhead bulletin and realize she was the lady on the poster. They call the sheriff's office and report the sighting, but mention they saw her wearing a floral shirt and overalls and that she was much thinner than they saw her in the poster. They also mentioned she didn't appear to be distressed or call them over, so they went on their way and didn't think anything of it. This is where the story has a bit of a paranormal twist. So, a 3-year-old boy named Caden made the news after him, his parents Victoria and Jake Gorba, and siblings decided to take a trip to the Madera County's mountains on a 4-wheeling adventure. They decide to stop at the next area they see and have a picnic for lunch in the Johnson's Meadow area. The young boy, who was seen talking to someone out in the trees by the meadow, the family just chalks it up to him playing and having an imagination. But when they were packing up their lunch, the boy kept saying, "There's a lady over there who needs our help." The mom reports not paying much attention to it, but then they get in the car to leave, and Caden has an urgency in his voice. He sounded really worried and was pointing out to the meadow, saying, "Mom, there's a lady out there and she needs our help." Enough so that the family actually get out of the car and look around for this lady that their son is talking about to make sure there isn't someone lost out in the meadow. He had such a specific description of her: a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair. He then reported that she was deceased, laying face down on the ground, and said she was needing their help. This gave the family the goosebumps as he was really insistent. But the parents didn't see anything after searching the area, even though he seemed to be interacting with someone. They actually decide to pack up and go home early because they just felt a bit shaken because of this incident. When they get home, Victoria makes a Facebook post with all of the details of her son's encounter during their trip. And this is when things really changed the parents' perspective of their son's sighting that day. At this point, she isn't aware of Sandra at all, or that there was even a missing lady in the area, that they had a picnic. One day, Victoria's post comes across a man named Chris Johnson, his Facebook page, who happened to work for the Madera County Sheriff's Office. He also happened to be a sheriff deputy who was working on Sandra's missing persons case. He calls Victoria and tells her the description that Caden gave her matched that of a lady who had gone missing just the summer prior, and that she was wearing a black shirt, blue jeans, and had blue hair. The police actually go back to the area with the father and do another thorough search of the area and still find nothing. However, because she fits the description, the police department take out photos and ask Caden to identify the lady that he saw that day. Caden picks out 3 photos that all happen to be Sandra Hughes. He definitely knew who he saw that day.
We turn now to a family vacation that took a strange turn in California. They visited the same area where a missing woman was last seen. ABC's Andrea Fuji picks up the story from there.
This morning, a California family's ghostly encounter could help solve a mystery. When the Gorba family went on a 4-wheeling trip in the Sierra National Forest, their 3-year-old son, Caden, started talking to someone who wasn't there.
He was just in our car and he was pointing out to a certain spot in the meadow.
The family was at Shut-Eye Peak, about 70 miles outside Fresno, when they stopped for lunch. Mom, Victoria, says Caden told them there was a woman close by.
I got goosebumps. He says she needs our help, but she's dead. And she's laying face down with her legs up, and she can't talk to me, but she's over there. We need to go help her.
Caden's parents checked out the meadow, but saw nothing.
He kept saying, trust me, Mom. And I was like, I trust you, bud. You know, I believe you 100%.
Creeped out, the Gorbas said they headed back home. Caden's mom then posted their experience on social media, and that's when the Madera County Sheriff's Department reached out for more information. Turns out a woman went missing just over a year ago within 5 miles of where they were. A woman with a black shirt and blue hair.
He describes down to blue hair. He said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom.
Detectives say Caden's description matched that of 53-year-old Sandra Hughes.
Did she get lost? Did she find foul play? Did she have an accident or sustain an injury and get confused? Authorities state that they believe there is no known foul play with Sandra. She has had survival skills and wilderness education, and they believe she could also be alive somewhere. Others speculate that this was during COVID, and that during this time, everyone was afraid. What's happening with the world? Is it always going to be like this? That it was affecting everyone's mental health in a very negative way, and that was maybe why she was refusing people's help. She didn't want to be around anyone out of fear of COVID, that she was going to use her survival skills and live out in the wilderness. Others think she had a car accident and sustained a head injury and wasn't able to put her thoughts together well enough, and something may have eventually happened to her. Others think she may have gone missing and her car and campsite were actually just ransacked by animals or people looking for belongings or food, and that it wasn't actually her at all. Some say the area also seems to be quite haunted and report many other encounters with missing hikers, and that some of the sightings may not have been Sandra in the living, but that of her spirit living in the wild, because that is what she loved to do. Keep in mind, the Sierra National Forest has 1.3 million acres of land, so she could easily get lost. Also, if you're out hiking in unknown areas, cell phones easily lose service, especially in mountain ranges. Please take a map of the area with you for safety if you're hiking in an unknown area. Over 1,000 people are noted to go missing in national parks each year. As of today, there are no promising leads in Sandra's case. If you happen to have any information on Sandra Hughes, please contact the Madera County's Sheriff's Department at 1-559-675-7770. Never underestimate the ability of a tip to make a difference. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me as we tune into Sandra's missing persons case. If you have found this video informative, please hit the like button and subscribe to Lost and Found the Missing for more missing persons content. Remember to stay safe and look out for one another. Until next time, Sarah Janik Medium, signing off.